Hello, and welcome to Philosophy 160, Justice and Virtue. My name is Matt Schuler. I'll be your instructor for this course. I'd originally planned on doing this in such a way that you'd be able to see a video of me talking alongside the PowerPoint or the notes or whatever it is I'm going over. But as I indicated on the News tab of the D2L site, I've been plagued by massive software and computer problems this whole morning, so I'm trying a different strategy. The way this is going to work is I'm now going to minimize this video and pull up the PowerPoint, and you'll just hear my voice but won't see me. I want to begin by saying that I'm really excited to be teaching this course. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, and we should all learn a lot. So let's go ahead then and get started with the first video, or as it were, audio lecture for today. What I want to do in this lecture basically is, well, a few things. I want to start off by going over just a bit of personal information about myself, then an overview of the syllabus and the course schedule, and then a menagerie of important things to note. So you should stay tuned throughout the entire lecture, which looks like it will be in several different parts, so that I don't risk having to redo this yet again. But the point is there will be things interspersed throughout that will be important to note, so keep an eye out for that. And then the last thing I want to do in this part is try to answer in a rough and ready way these two questions. What is philosophy, and what is moral philosophy in particular, or ethics? That, after all, is the subject of this course. So this is a bit redundant. This information is available on the syllabus, but you can contact me at schuler@email.arizona.edu, or you can email me through D2L. Doesn't make a difference. It'll get to me the same either way. And then, since this is a fully online course, my office hours will be by appointment only via Skype. And I'd imagine that at some point throughout the semester, you'll be wanting to speak with me one-on-one. So we'll deal with that as it comes up. Let's see. Oops. Alright, let's try this again. So for those of you who already saw the D2L email that I sent to each of you a couple of days ago, some of this will be redundant. In that email, I told you a little bit about myself. I feel it's important to do that, especially in this course format, because we never see each other in person. It feels a little bit distanced and impersonal, and so I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I've just finished my first year of a PhD. I'm a doctoral student in the philosophy department. Before that, I did 2 years of an MA at Virginia Tech. Took a year off afterwards and taught a handful of classes. This, however, is the first fully online course that I've ever taught, so as is evidenced already by my mishap earlier today, there's going to be a steep learning curve involved, at least for me and perhaps for the rest of you. Okay, but enough about me. Just move on here. So I'm going to start off with just a few kind of disclaimers, important points, ground rules, basically, just for the way that things ought to proceed in terms of, mutual respect and things like that. So I want to point out that what we're concerned with in this class or in any philosophy course is how well one defends a belief or position. So it's really crucial that we respect everyone's opinion. We're surely not going to agree about everything in this course, or perhaps even much of anything. And that's fine, and that's to be expected, and if anything, desirable even. But the key thing is going to be to focus on the claims that other people make and the arguments they present in defense of those claims, rather than to attack those things, rather than to attack the person making the claims, or to attack an individual, right? That's not what we want to do, because in fact I think we each benefit, and it's sort of cliche, but we do, from a diversity of beliefs and points of view. So we want everyone to feel, we want it to be an inclusive environment where everyone feels like they can express their views safely, without fear of being humiliated or attacked by some other student who happens to feel differently. It's the kind of thing that I don't anticipate having to worry about very much. I think I've taught 5 or 6 courses now, and it's hardly ever been an issue, and I don't anticipate that it will be, but I just have to put you on notice that we have to, at all times, even with controversial subjects, be respectful of one another's views. So that doesn't mean that you can't be opinionated or share your beliefs. It just means that we shouldn't force our views on anyone else in any aggressive kind of way or anything like that. In any case, I think that's enough of that. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be an issue. One other kind of remark that's worth making, that's sort of related, is that just in terms of your own, what's going on in your own head, try to keep an open mind and be open to the possibility of revising your own beliefs, because that's the way that you're going to get the most out of the course. This is a course in moral theory, or the history of moral theory, you might say. It's not an applied ethics course. The department offers courses like that, but this isn't one of them. In a course like that, in an applied ethics course, where you're talking about things like abortion and capital punishment, people are apt to come to the table with some very definite views and opinions, pretty well entrenched in their psychology, and then it's particularly difficult to, to manage to revise your own beliefs if it's sensitive topics, like charged topics like that. But even in a course of this nature, where we're not talking about those kinds of really controversial things, still it's probably likely, just because this is a moral philosophy course, that you'll have some very definite opinions about what's right and what's wrong, and so forth. And that's fine, that's good. But you ought to at least try to keep an open mind when reading other philosophers who you happen to disagree with, because it's a virtual certainty that these philosophers have thought about these questions at least as much as you have, and there's something to be learned from all 4 of the philosophers we'll be talking about, I think. So if you find that you do disagree with someone, which you inevitably will, the thing to do is to focus on the arguments that the philosopher presents for the conclusion that you disagree with. So, John Stuart Mill has view X, you disagree with X, so the thing to do is to figure out what's wrong with his arguments for X, right? If you reject a conclusion that he draws, your challenge is to figure out what's wrong with the arguments he presents in support of that conclusion. That's the way I'd frame the whole thing in your mind. Okay, and then about my role in all of this, this won't be as much, I won't have as much of an opportunity to do this in a course of this format, being fully online, because we won't be having in-depth, live, interactive discussions about the material. But even so, in these videos and so forth, there will be opportunity for me to do what might seem like defending my own view, but it'd be a mistake to think that's what I'm doing. In other words, often I'll be playing devil's advocate, just defending a position to try and challenge you to think what's wrong with it, to figure out what's wrong with it. But don't make the mistake of thinking that I actually believe whatever it is that I'm saying. I may, but may not. And then finally, this really isn't the sort of course where the instructor, in this case me, simply gives you the right answers in the way that you might be accustomed to that happening in, say, a math or science course, right? It's not like by the time this course is over, you will, you know, you'll be able to say, yes, I know the right answer. Capital punishment, for example, is wrong, and the reason is that my professor told me that, right? It probably goes without saying, but in a philosophy course, it's just not the name of the game. It's not the way that it works. These are difficult issues, controversial issues that people have disagreed about for centuries, millennia, actually. So don't expect for anything definitive. The goal is to come out of the course in a better position to defend and develop your own views in a rational and argumentative fashion. Okay. Another thing I wanted to mention is that, and sometimes you'll hear this in other courses, but I think particularly in philosophy, although cliche, it's true. It's really quite hard to ask a stupid question. I know we're not going to be meeting in person, so it's not going to be a case of you having an opportunity to raise your hand to ask a question, but decide not to because you think it's stupid. But in any case, we will be having discussions on the discussion board, and I don't want anybody to think that they shouldn't ask a question because they're just so much more confused than the rest of us, or their question is stupid, or it'd be a waste of time, or something like that, because in all likelihood, or really it's a virtual certainty that that's mistaken. In fact, I think sometimes the most obvious questions are the best or most important ones, and the reason for that is that a lot of times, we'll sort of go down the rabbit hole and start discussing, the ins and outs and the intricacies of a particular topic, and at some point lose sight of why we're on the train of thought we're on, and so forth. And I've found, anyway, that a lot of times when a student asks a really kind of basic or obvious question that they might be inclined to think is stupid, really what it does is it serves a very valuable purpose. It helps to clarify and bring it back down to earth and be like, yes, this is why we're doing this, or this is what's at stake here, or this is what it's all about, whatever we happen to be talking about. Okay, and then on a related note, if you are afraid that you have a stupid question, or if you feel confused, another reason to ask it anyway is that if you don't, and if you therefore don't get clarification on it, there's a very good chance that you're just going to be even more confused as things progress. That, in part, has to do with the nature of this kind of course. All four of the philosophers we're reading a book, admittedly a small book by each of them, but in each book, the philosopher is developing a sustained view over, 60, 70 pages. And so if early on something's confusing and you don't get clarification on it, then since everything later builds on that earlier stuff, there's a really good chance you're just going to be massively confused by the end. And we don't want that, because then you're not going to get nearly as much out of the course, and you're also not going to do as well in the course. So I think that's where I'm going to end this video, because I'm not sure if the problem I've been experiencing this morning when I've attempted to record this 4 other times, I'm not sure if that problem had to do with the video just being too long. It was close to 45 minutes. It's just 14 minutes now, so I think I'll end it here, upload this, and then start the next one. See ya.